What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Alex Wilson. And today we got a lot of great positive injury updates for the New York Giants. First and foremost, he's back. Andrew Thomas is returning to practice today, coming off of the PUP list. Obviously, he's been dealing with that foot injury that caused him to miss the majority of last season, that Lisfranc injury. He had season-ending surgery after week 6, but now all these months later, 10 months later, he's finally returning to practice. Alex and I got a firsthand look at Andrew Thomas a couple of weeks ago at training camp, and we said, hey, he looks like he's making progress. He's getting close to getting back on the football field, and today is that day. He will practice today, and so will Malik Nabers, and so will Skattebo. So Alex and I are going to go ahead and react to all of this positive injury update news for the Giants and also discuss many other storylines and topics for the Giants as we head into Thursday night's final preseason game with week 1 right around the corner. I can't wait. So Andrew Thomas will be on the field in week 1, and that is a huge piece of news for this Giants offense that hopes to be a lot better this year than it was last year. Now, before I hand it off to Alex, I will just say, guys, bear with us. Any sort of technical difficulties, audio issues, both Alex and I are moving this week, so we're still trying to reconfigure some things and make sure that everything is kind of up to the standard of quality that we want it to be, but it might take us a couple of episodes to find our footing and get there. Appreciate your patience, but Alex, how are you doing today, my friend, and what is your reaction to Andrew Thomas being activated off the PUP list and returning to practice today for the Giants?
Yeah, very interesting. We both ended up moving at the same exact time, trying to speak close to the microphone. That way it's not too echoey. But yeah, Andrew Thomas returning is a big deal for the Giants. Why? Well, their offensive line kind of relies on him to be the peak. You know what I mean? I think that when you're looking at the, efficiency, the contributions, the early returns from this offensive line so far in the first 2 weeks of preseason, looking pretty solid, I would say. I've been pretty impressed. Carmen Brasil is doing a really good job. Even Josh Azidu. You know things are going well when Josh Azidu is playing well, because he has been freaking horrible since we drafted him in the 3rd round a couple years back. He's looked solid. Marcus Bowe has been really, really good. Even John Michael Schmitz has looked solid. So I'm pretty encouraged with how this offensive line is trending, and returning Andrew Thomas to left tackle is just another piece of the puzzle, and not just a regular piece. He is a key component. Like, he is the finishing piece to the puzzle. So I'm pretty excited to see how the Giants really get this offense into high gear. Now, obviously, he doesn't have that much time to gear up, but he does have about 2 weeks before we start to really get into the game planning, for week 1 against the Commanders. And I do think that the Giants have enough time to get him installed, get him involved. Kind of like that phrase, but I do think that there's a lot that this offense can do with him in the mix at left tackle. Like, he's going to open up the running game. His pass protection, as we know, is his strong suit. He's phenomenal in that regard. Getting him back 100% healthy is critical to the success of this offense and this team. He's only ever played 1 season with over 1,000 snaps. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing the 2nd season of him doing that this upcoming campaign.
Fun fact, that 1 season where he played over 1,000 snaps, do you know what happened? The Giants went to the playoffs. I mean, he is integral to the success of this team. That 2022 season when he was healthy, Alex, I remember we would do a lot of film breakdowns, and we would demonstrate how Giants were running plays for Andrew Thomas. He was one of their playmakers on offense, so to speak. They would run certain bootlegs or certain end-around runs and quarterback keepers with Andrew Thomas fully designed to be the man leading the charge on those plays, and he was springing big play after big play in the running game. So Andrew Thomas, he is so important to this team. He's so important to the way that this offense runs, especially going back to that 2022 season when he was healthy, when Mike Kafka is calling the plays like he will be this upcoming season. So big news here. Honestly, though, season outlook for Andrew Thomas, I really do need him to stay healthy this season, because I am starting to get concerned about his long-term future with this team. I mean, we're talking about a guy that after that 2022 season, he got a massive payday from the New York Giants. At the time, he was one of the highest paid offensive linemen in NFL history. But since then, he's appeared in 16 games and he's missed 18 games. That's borderline unacceptable. It's not really his fault. They've been freak injury accidents. You can't really blame him, but you can say, hey, it's time to be healthy. It's time to get on the football field and to make the impact that you're capable of, because when Andrew Thomas is on the field for the Giants, he is one of their most impactful players on the 53-man roster. He does decide certain games. There are times where the Giants' blind side has been completely unprotected without Andrew Thomas on the field, but when he's there, he's a rock. And we know that he is capable of shutting down the best of the best pass rushers while also being one of the best run blocking offensive tackles in all of football. So this is a huge deal for the Giants to get Andrew Thomas back. I doubt that he plays in this upcoming preseason game on Thursday night. That's a pretty quick turnaround, but he will be ready for week 1 when the Giants go up against the Washington Commanders on the road with a major divisional matchup to kick off the season. That's exactly when you need your star left tackle on the field. So very important stuff here, very exciting. So Alex, I do want to get your take on it, though. I kind of mentioned there my long-term concerns with Andrew Thomas, considering the last 2 years. Well, there's been a lot of troubles with getting on the football field and especially with staying on the football field. How are you starting to feel? This is obviously a great first step for him to get activated off the PUP list. He'll be ready for week 1. Well, what do you need to see from Andrew Thomas this upcoming season, if anything at all?
I mean, listen, at this point in his career, I'd label him injury prone. And, this is a player who at the top of his game is one of the best left tackles in the sport. So you hold your breath, you hope to God this guy can stay healthy because like you said, the difference between a good offense and a subpar offense is your star left tackle. This season could be predicated on his health. And, that goes for any season, really. I think that if he doesn't stay healthy, we're going to have a little bit more of a difficult discussion about his future with the Giants, because the Giants cannot keep going on expecting him to be healthy, expecting him to be this linchpin piece to the offensive line and him never showing up and being available. I think this season really is a defining one. And I think his contract, isn't he entering like the first season of this 5-year deal right now? So I'll give you some insights into that. He actually is entering the first year of this 5-year contract. He has a $21 million cap hit this year, $21.2 million next year. And after the 2026 season, the Giants have an out that would only be $4.6 million in dead money. Here's the thing, though. $23.2 million cap hits kind of for the next, I guess you could say on average for the next 5 seasons is astronomically low for the left tackle position. A player of his caliber, 21 mil cap hit per year is a bargain. It's kind of like what Dexter Lawrence is getting right now. And everyone's like, yeah, he should be getting exponentially more than that. That's why they gave him a little bit more guaranteed money recently. But Andrew Thomas, if he stays healthy, 21 mil cap hit is a freaking blessing. It's a blessing. That's why the Giants tried to get ahead of these contract extensions. Dexter Lawrence is panning out well. Obviously, Andrew Thomas is not panning out so well as he's entering the first year of it right now. So I do think that he'll be under contract for 2 more seasons. And if he doesn't stay healthy, if he doesn't get better in that regard, the Giants will probably take the out in his contract after the 2026 campaign. So I'd say he has 2 years to prove his worth, or the Giants could end up trading him is the alternative there. So I do think that this is a big season for him. It's a big season for the Giants. Brian Daboll needs him to stay healthy. We've seen glimpses of what this offense can be. But again, you're playing backups a lot. You're paying, it's the first action of the season. If they go up against a really good pass rush, that offensive line is going to struggle without him. So I do think the deep ball, the deep game, everything the Giants want to be on offense relies on Thomas being healthy. So it's critical. It's imperative. That contract is going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. If he plays well and he stays healthy, that's going to be one of the best deals, one of the best contracts in football for left tackle. If he doesn't stay healthy and he doesn't get on the field and play well, obviously we're going to have a different discussion next offseason.
Yeah, I remember when he signed the contract, we said that it could age into one of the best contracts in the NFL at the offensive tackle position. But unfortunately, since he signed the contract, he's barely played. So it hasn't necessarily aged all that well, but it still has the potential to, as you just broke down there. But Alex, a couple other key players on the offensive side of the ball returning to practice for the New York Giants. Malik Nabers, he hadn't practiced in, I want to say, 12 days prior to today, back on the practice field. And I'll add on to this, Alex, since we did have our little battle last week talking about whether or not Malik Nabers should play in the preseason. He's back practicing this Tuesday, game on Thursday. This is just in time for that Thursday night game if they want to give him a drive with Russ, because I did read that the Giants plan on putting the starters back out there for a little bit on Thursday night's game, which, I am very supportive of, and I think that is a good idea. But Nabers getting back on the field, getting back healthy. The update on that is he was reportedly dealing with some back soreness, but it wasn't anything major. It was normal back tightness is how it was described by the Giants to Jordan Rannon of ESPN. So not a serious injury. It wasn't the toe, which I think is a positive. It wasn't the shoulder, which is also a positive. Nothing that we heard of previously. It was an undisclosed injury that's now been disclosed as a back soreness. If that's all that he was missing some time for, I'm all good with that, because that means that toe injury that's been nagging and causing a lot of concern for Giants fans is not the issue that was keeping him off of the football field. So he should be fully healthy and ready to go for week 1. And I'm excited for that, because I think that Malik Nabers, after watching what Russell Wilson did in the preseason in week 2 versus the Jets, that deep moon ball that he hit to Bo Collins, man, I am getting excited for the potential of Malik Nabers and Russell Wilson this season. I mean, Bo Collins turned that catch into an 80-yard gain. Malik Nabers was turning that into an 81-yard touchdown, that's for sure. And he's going to do that over and over and over again this season. The breakaways that we haven't seen from Giants receivers in many years because of a lack of deep ball accuracy, right? I mean, you think about all the plays that Malik Nabers made last season. He was scoring touchdowns, sure, but he wasn't having those deep breakaway bombs like Odell Beckham Jr. used to have when Eli Manning was hucking and chucking the ball downfield. But now with Russell Wilson and that patented moon ball, you're going to see some of those breakaway explosive receptions from Malik Nabers downfield, scoring touchdowns on those deep bombs. And I can't wait for that. So that's really my main takeaway here, Alex. Malik Nabers back on the practice field. Good, because I want to see a 55-yard touchdown pass from Russell Wilson to Malik Nabers week 1 versus the Washington Commanders. That's what I need to see.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we all need to see. I think, listen, what we have right now on this Giants offense, we've seen glimpses of it early in this preseason. That 80-yard moon ball that Russell Wilson threw, it just shows that the arm is still there. Like, he can still do it. He can still complete those passes. And I think a lot of people were really concerned about that, with Russell Wilson. Does he still have it? Can he still be a starting quarterback that, is above average? I don't think there's a question in my mind that he can absolutely be not even just average, but above average. Does he have the same mobility as he once did? No, of course not. But that, like, he's kind of, I wouldn't say aging like fine wine, but he is not getting astronomically worse like some veterans at the moment. He's still very capable and competent. But Jackson Dart, the importance of having a structured offensive line, a structured offense around a young quarterback can be the difference between making and breaking that player. So, when you're looking at Dart, when you're looking at this offense in general and what they have going with Nabers and that star WR1. And I do think, by the way, that they will go into next season. I know you tweeted before about Alec Pierce as a guy that could be cheaper because Daniel Jones is starting there. That could be somebody they look at in free agency. They could draft somebody. They still, Wandale will be, obviously expired at that point. So we'll see if they bring him back or not, depending on the season he has. They have Darius Slayton locked up long-term. They have plenty of draft capital and future money with Dart's, rookie contract. So, looking at the situation the Giants find themselves in, if Andrew Thomas pans out, if Andrew Thomas not even pans out, just stays healthy, the Jackson Dart's going to have one of the best. I don't even want to say that. I don't want to say that out loud. He's going to have a good offensive line, a superstar receiver, plenty of money in draft capital. The Giants can continue to pour into weapons around him, and a solid coaching staff that's, leaning into his development and getting things, in order for him to succeed in the NFL. This has the making, like we kind of hoped the Giants would figure this out, but it has the making of what we always hoped to see the Giants do with a young quarterback, just this type of development. I'm happy that the Giants gave Brian Daboll a chance to do this before they fired him. That was the whole reason they hired him to begin with. It was to give him a young quarterback to mold. He just inherited one that wasn't his at all. I'm happy they gave him a chance to figure out a guy that he chose specifically before they fired him for something that he didn't even do in the first place, which was draft Daniel Jones. So, like, I do think there's a lot to be excited about. The Giants have a lot of money, they have a lot of draft capital, and they have a lot of talent. So I do think that this team could be sneaky this year. I know you texted me before. I think the Giants might be sneaky this year. They could win some games. And honestly, just the pass rush alone gives me reason to believe that that's true.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. The pass rush should be one of the best in the league. But I did text you that I think the Giants could sneakily be dangerous this year, because I did a little film breakdown this morning on Russell Wilson. If you didn't see it, it is live on the channel. Go check it out. But I looked at only 2 plays, and those 2 plays, I was like, oh my God, this is so difference making right here. This quarterback play from Russell Wilson, his ability to hit Jalen Hyatt on that comeback on time. I mean, that ball was coming out of Russ's hands before Jalen Hyatt had even turned around. That's so different from what we'd seen in the past with Daniel Jones patting the ball 3 times while the receiver's standing there waiting for it. Or how about the fact that Russell Wilson, that deep bomb to Bo Collins, I mean, he created that play himself. The Giants were facing cover 3. A post route's not supposed to get open against a single high safety, but Russell Wilson looks to the sideline, pulls that safety out of position, and then all of a sudden uncorks a 62 air yard bomb downfield to Bo Collins. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the different kind of quarterback play that we just haven't seen for the last 6 years. That's experience, that's accuracy, it's decision making, it's playing on time. It's all of the things that we've complained that we haven't had enough of for the last several years. Now we're going to get it with Russell Wilson. So expect some Malik Nabers big time plays. And hey, that's why I'm saying Giants could be sneaky. They could be dangerous this year, and I'm really excited for it. Alex, there is one other piece of information that we need to dive into, and that is Cam Skattebo returning to practice. However, I do want to go on a little bit of a side quest here because I want to get your take on something. It's not related to the Giants, and I'm kind of throwing you into hot water, so I apologize for this, but you did just invoke his name. You did just say Daniel Jones. So I do want to hear your take on him being declared the Week 1 starter for the Indianapolis Colts.
Just happy it's not us, dude. Just happy it's not us. I mean, the Colts just literally shot themselves in the foot. I don't know what they're doing. Daniel Jones is who he is. He's not getting better than what he's been the last couple of years. 99.9% true. I believe that's a fact. They gave Anthony Richardson 15 games, and Daniel Jones has 70. Why? There is nothing that you can do to convince me that they are not trying to tank this year, because Richardson, yeah, is he good? No, obviously not right now. But why would you not give, even if he's worse, if he's been worse than Daniel Jones in camp, one of them is who he is, and the other one may not have reached their potential, and the Colts are going nowhere anyway this season. So like, why not give the rock to and Richardson's most likely going to get hurt anyway. You know, he gets hurt every year. So like, he's mostly just let him see if he can take steps forward, see if his game improves over time and just gets on the field and does things. Like, I don't understand why you would abandon a 4th overall pick from 2 years ago already when you know exactly what you have in Daniel Jones and it's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather just blindfolded throwing darts at the board than pick a guy I know is not going to be able to hit the dartboard at all. So it's just like, I don't know. I just don't really get that decision. I don't understand it. I'm just happy. And I'll say this, like, final note, I don't want to talk about Daniel Jones much more ever again. Final note, just happy it's not us.
Yes, I can concur with that take. And I will just give my brief take on it too. I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of devil's advocate here for the Colts to try and support them. But I will clarify and say I do not support this decision. But for Daniel Jones, you could argue because he's got the ability to complete passes at a higher percentage, the offense should be able to run a little bit more consistently than it would with Anthony Richardson, right? I mean, Anthony Richardson threw, I think, like 30% of his passes last year were 20-plus yards downfield, and he didn't complete all that many of them. I mean, he consistently throws 50% completion percentage or less, and that's just not viable for an NFL offense. And that's unfortunately, I think, why the Colts aren't running with him. But I will say I prefer the aggressiveness and the deep shots, and like I said, I'm only playing devil's advocate. Anthony Richardson should be the starter, in my opinion. Giving up on a former number 4 overall pick this quickly. Crazy. I mean, dude, this guy, Anthony Richardson, is younger than Shedeur Sanders, Will Howard, Dylan Gabriel, Tyler Shuck, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, and Michael Penix Jr. He's younger than all of those quarterbacks, and the Colts are giving up on him. I just don't understand it.
I mean, me neither. You talked about the deep ball. Daniel Jones completed 24% of his passes, 20-plus yards downfield last season. Russell Wilson completed 54%. Like, it's actually incredible how much better Russell Wilson is at operating the offense Brian Daboll wants to run. You know what I mean? Like, it's night and day. I'm not surprised one bit this team is looking astronomically better with quarterbacks that have any semblance of instincts in the pocket. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, Daniel Jones just never got rid of the ball, ever. He was just, his eyes would drop and the play was dead that second. I watched Jackson Dart make multiple completions, multiple positive moments with rushers in his face, like within a couple of feet of him. And he had the wherewithal to find a screen pass, to that touchdown pass in the first week of the preseason game. Like, even when there is pressure, he's able to get rid of the ball because he keeps his eyes downfield. He has a sense of just how much time he has to get rid of the football. By the way, that's a really good indication, Anthony, of how the game is starting to slow down for him, because usually the big problem is, quarterbacks can't really determine how much time they have before they're going to make contact with someone, before the rusher is going to get to them. He has the ability to use his peripherals to identify how much time he actually has before he's going to get hit. And that allows him to get rid of the ball really, really efficiently and quickly, because he has his eyes downfield, waiting for the open target. He finds them and he makes plays. Like, that's what great quarterbacks do. That instinct right there, by the way, is the one that's going to win and lose football games in big moments. The ability to make big plays with pressure in your face in the fourth quarter, 2-minute drill, you have to make a play. That's the difference between winning and losing games against good football teams. To see Jackson Dart, again, it's early, but the fact that he can even do it at all is a breath of fresh air for a team and fans like you guys and myself and Anthony, who have been watching complete incompetence in that regard for the last 6 years.
Yeah, you don't even have to preface it by saying it's only preseason, it's early. I'm all ready to declare Jackson Dart the king of New York. I don't care. I am so hyped up about the way this kid has looked. I know that I'm premature, and I know that I'm overly excited, and I'm biased. I'm a Giants fan. What do you expect from me? I've lived through shit quarterback play for the last 6 years, and I'm getting this rookie throwing these dimes under pressure, escaping pressure, running an offense. I don't know. I'm so excited about what we've seen from Jackson Dart, but I'm also excited, Alex, to see some Cam Skattebo. And I'm hoping that he plays on Thursday night. He's returning to practice today. He's been dealing with a hamstring injury. Honestly, if I had to bet on it, he probably doesn't play on Thursday night. I think this is a player who has already tried to return from this injury and had a setback. So the Giants are probably going to be extra cautious here with Cam Skattebo, hold him out of Thursday's game, and just let him return to practice, get a little bit of light work in, and get ready for September. Get ready for week 1 of the regular season. That's what we'll probably see here for Cam Skattebo. But also at the same time, I'm just excited for his rookie season. I think this is a player who has a dynamic receiving skill set. I think he's got tremendous contact balance. And I think that he's got an ability to be something that nobody else on this Giants team can be, which is a powerful goal line running back. I love Tyrone Tracy Jr. I think he's got tremendous vision. I think he's looked really good in the preseason. And I think Turbo Miller is just like the most quickly accelerating player that I've seen in years. I mean, the way that he goes 0 to 60 is unbelievable. There's a lot to be excited about in this running back room, but so far it has felt incomplete to me through this preseason because we have not yet seen Cam Skattebo. So I'm very happy that he's returning to the practice field and that he should be ready to go for week 1. I'm just hoping with this hamstring injury, it's been nagging at him. He already had one setback. Just try not to have another setback. Be extra careful and cautious with this guy, because I really do think Skattebo could play a very crucial role for this Giants offense this season, doing certain things that these other running backs maybe don't excel in as a receiver and as a power back on short yardage situations. So Alex, Cam Skattebo returning to practice, how hyped up are you, and how are you feeling about him heading into his rookie season?
I mean, I love Cam Skattebo, you know that, but I will say this, as a fantasy football player, do not undervalue Tyrone Tracy. This dude, Tyrone Tracy, is going in like the 7th round of drafts right now. He is a starting running back and a good one for the Giants. Like, last year, he had a ton of touchdowns and was very surprising, as a rookie. I think he, in limited action this preseason, has looked really good. So I'm pretty excited to see Tyrone Tracy. Cam Skattebo, love him. I think he could be a really solid 3rd down back. I mean, same with Turbo Miller at this point. Like you mentioned, he's been excellent. So Devin Singletary is hanging on by a thread right now, in my opinion. But Skattebo's got to stay healthy, that hamstring, take it easy. I don't think he's going to be ready anytime soon. He still has to get some reps in. I think he'll get, if there's any injuries or something, he'll get opportunities, but it's not going to be as fast as I thought it would be because of this injury. When he has been on the field, he looks pretty solid, but hamstrings are a fickle beast, so I don't want to test it that much. But Tyrone Tracy is so underrated right now. It's actually insane to me no one's talking about him. Like, it really is pretty insane to me. I do think that this is a player that could rush for 1,000 yards this season and have 6 or 7 rushing touchdowns, and could have 300 plus yards receiving. Like, he could be a very good player this year. Maybe that's optimistic, but I don't think that's actually that crazy. I think that he will break 1,000 yards rushing this season. I think it's going to be relatively easy for him with the way this offensive line is looking so far, especially if the passing game is open. Tyrone Tracy is going to have room to run, and he's able to bounce the ball outside. He's shifty. He's able to navigate tight spaces, and I don't know, like, I just really think people are underrating him right now. I do think he's a really solid player. And if you're a fantasy football guy or gal, go take him. Like, he's there for the picking in like the 7th or 8th round these days. It's actually pretty crazy to me. And he's a starting RB2 level guy, in my opinion.
No, I agree. In terms of fantasy football, I think Tyron Tracy Jr. is severely undervalued. I mean, if you take his average yards per game when he was the starter last season and you extrapolate it over a 17-game sample size, he was on pace for 1,000 rushing yards as a rookie. So he did cross, I think, 1,100 total yards from scrimmage when you take his receiving and rushing combined last year, and he only started 12 games, I believe. Yeah, kid's talented, and he looks better this preseason, in my opinion, than he did look last year as the starter for the Giants. His vision last year was impressive. It looks even better in the preseason so far. I mean, he averaged 5.4 yards per carry in that second preseason game against the Jets. He's a good running back, and he's definitely undervalued. You're 100% right, Alex, and I'm really looking forward to Tyron Tracy Jr. But like I said, really excited about the potential tandem here with Tracy and with Cam Skattebo. I can't wait to see this kid play, dude. I just want to see him smash into guys. Like, I just want to pause. I just want to see him meet a linebacker in the hole and win that battle because I know he's capable of doing that. I like Tyron Tracy Jr. I don't know if he's capable of winning a lot of battles in the hole against the linebacker, but Cam Skattebo, he's going to win those more often than not, I think. And that's what I'm really excited for. Bring that power, that grit, and that identity to the Giants backfield, that old school, hard-nosed Giants football. That's what I'm excited to see. So really can't wait for this running back group. Like you said, though, Devin Singletary certainly is holding on by a thread. I mean, he's barely gotten any touches in the preseason, but when he has, there's been nothing there for him, or at least he just hasn't been able to find it. Because I'll say this. You could say that the run blocking maybe hasn't been good on some of his reps, and there hasn't been anything there for him. However, when you look at Tyron Tracy Jr.'s reps, when the play initially starts, it doesn't look like there's anything there for him. He finds something for himself, and that's why he's so good. Devin Singletary hasn't been doing that in the preseason. Again, he's had limited reps. He's RB3 realistically probably on this roster, so I'm not going to really just dig into him too deeply. But I have to say, I'm much higher on Devin Singletary than most fans, I think, because I was really impressed with the way he looked through the first 5 weeks of last season. Thought he looked like a very solid running back, but this preseason, it just looks like he's taken a step back. He doesn't look like the same player that I saw week 2 versus the Washington Commanders breaking 10 tackles in the 2024 season. Fast forward almost a year later, and I'm just not seeing the same level of explosiveness. So we'll see what happens with Devin Singletary. I think he and funny enough, one of these quarterbacks is probably the Giants' two biggest trade candidates as we head closer to the regular season. I've heard some rumblings that Jameis Winston, the Giants have been getting some calls on him. So that's something I think we probably discuss in tomorrow's episode, Alex. Could the Giants make a quarterback trade? And I'm leaving it open to interpretation quarterback trade because could the trade be Jameis Winston or could it be Tommy DeVito? I think both of those guys could potentially be trade candidates for the New York Giants here as we get closer and closer to cut day, which is going to take place, I believe, next Monday or Tuesday. I don't remember which day is waiver wire day, but it's one of those days. And regardless, guys, stay tuned for that because when the waiver wire day happens, you can bet yourself right here on Fireside Giants, you're going to get all of the updates on who the Giants cut, who they claimed, who they tried to claim, but maybe were unsuccessful claiming on the waiver wire. All of that news right here and plenty more discussing this preseason and so on and so forth right here on Fireside Giants. So make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure to leave us a 5-star review and go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. Without further ado, catch you all on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go New York Giants.